In Dubai, it's the infrastructure of the West combined with the service industry of the East. It's the place to be.
It's probably the easiest to get subleasing deals here in Dubai.
It's so interesting because the opposite for us in Montreal. People don't want to sublease. I've had multiple buildings burned down. My building's burned down. I've seen everything.
Airbnb was just super easy. Even if you got a bunch of bad reviews, it was fine.
Honestly, it was like drug money. You just take apartments, put it on Airbnb, it will like 3x, 4x the rent.
But now seeing that, you know, it would just be fun working with you, man. And you have so much experience that I would probably just learn from, and it would be great. So what if we do a villa on the Palm?
I'm down.
So you have over 200 Airbnb apartments in Canada.
Correct. Yes.
Which city? Which city
mostly concentrated in Montreal. That's where I went to study, and that's where I really grew.
Montreal is in the east?
Yeah. It's not really east coast. It's like in the middle. It's right above New York.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like
6 hours from New York.
Almost just very close to America, right? It's just
yeah. Lots of Americans visiting.
Okay. And how close is it from Toronto?
6 hours. 5 hours.
Okay.
Drive.
So give me like a brief history of how you started this and how you ended up with 200 apartments.
Oh, it's a long time in the making. I've been doing this for about 9 years. I incorporated in 2016.
Incorporate? What do you mean?
Oh, registered by company.
Okay.
That's what you call in Canada, incorporating.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. No, the idea really came from Sonder.
Yeah.
Because we were in the same school, actually.
You and the owner of Sonder?
Yes. We were in the same class.
So for those that don't know, Sonder is like the biggest publicly listed company that's subleasing just like us.
That's right. I own a lot of Sonder shares. I recently sold a bunch, which I regret. Right after the Marriott merger, I sold a lot of shares at break even.
But didn't they crash
the
stock?
Yeah.
What's happening there? Why are they crashing?
Bad financials, honestly, because they have very, very high costs. They have engineers on payroll, like that PhD that they pay $250K a year. You don't need that to operate this. Yeah. You can run it lean, with customer service from Philippines.
Interesting, because they have some buildings here. They have that one building. So correct me if I'm wrong. Sonder only subleases whole buildings.
Now. That's when they started, they were just like you and me. They would do actually the way they started is very interesting. The way they started in Quebec, in Montreal, is through this thing called Sublet program. So they would offer students, hey, you're leaving for your summer, give us your apartment, we'll cover your rent. And they'll take that apartment, put it on Airbnb, and make money on that. So these apartments came pre-furnished by the students, so there was very little capital requirement.
So when the students were going away for the summer?
Yeah.
Oh, and summer's the high season, so
correct.
Perfect.
It was the absolute, it actually, their idea was it raised the highest seed funding round in Quebec at that time, and this was in 2014. So it was a brilliant idea, and it worked well. That's how they gained traction.
Yeah.
And that's honestly how I gained traction as well. I gave my apartment to them to sublet, but they rejected it because it was too low quality for them. So I got annoyed. I'm like, okay, I can do this myself. So I put it myself, and it made more money than the rent.
So that was your first experience with Airbnb?
From getting rejected from Sonder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into that more, I want to talk about Sonder a little bit more. So they have this one building in JBR.
They have two in Dubai.
Really?
They have
two in Dubai. The one in JBR, which is so cool. I went on a visit. The guy there, it was it's
beautiful.
With a huge 3-bedroom apartment with just views all over the marina and JBR. You know which building it is, right?
JBR the Walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So what they do, they rent it monthly. They do Airbnb and monthly?
Yeah, they do both.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever works, basically.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, and you went to school with that guy?
Yeah.
So what were you studying?
I was studying electrical engineering. He was studying econ. Yeah.
Okay.
Same year.
All right, and then you wanted to give him your apartment. He said, no, we don't want to do that. And you did it yourself. Yeah. And then you went from there. Then how did you get your next one?
Well, so I didn't do anything that summer. It was just that unit. I made some money, spent it on beer. Yeah. The next summer, so I'm a big risk taker. I take incredible risks.
Yeah. What do you mean incredible risk?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
The next year, my dad sent me tuition money. You know, he sends me tuition money. But this year, that year, he sent me the tuition money not directly to the university, to my bank account. And I'm like, whoa, 15K, international tuition. It's pretty high.
Where is he from?
I'm from Bangladesh. That's where I was born. I moved to Canada.
For the studies?
Yes, for the studies.
Gotcha.
So he sent me the money to my personal bank account. I'm like, whoa. Let me try to double this. So I withdrew it all in cash, took it to the casino.
No.
Yes. I wanted to do the martingale. It was a new a new technique that I learned, that double your bet every time you lose at the roulette. Okay. Like bet it all on one color. And if you win once, you basically win back all your losses, right?
Gotcha.
My luck was so bad. I think I lost 7 times in a row, and I reached the table limit. I couldn't double anymore. I didn't think of that.
Oh.
So in like 15 minutes, I had lost like $7,000, $7,000 or $8,000 out of the 15K. And I just sat down on the floor like crying. Like, what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that's taking risk. That's just being stupid.
I was 21.
Yeah.
20 or 21.
Yeah,
my second year of university.
Okay.
So what do I do? Then I realized, I remember that business that I did last summer. I took people's apartments and I put it on Airbnb. Like, that's what Sonder did. So why don't I do it? So I went home, watched some YouTube videos on how to make a website and all of that. Overnight, I learned how to make a website on Wix. So I built this sublet program. I made this campaign. Win 2 trips to Paris. And if you give us your apartment, that was the catch, the marketing catch. And I would offer McGill students that, hey, if you're leaving for the summer, give me your apartment. I'll put it on Airbnb and you'll get your rent.
Why did you go to Paris?
I didn't go to Paris. It was I wanted to be a little bit different from Sonder's offering. Don't just give me your apartment. You can also, you'll be put in a lucky draw. You can win a chance for a trip to Paris. That was the marketing hook.
Oh, so everyone that gave you their apartment, they would go in a pot and one of them would win a trip to Paris.
Correct.
And so you were only doing this with students, just like Sonder, doing the same
because
thing.
I had no money. I had remember, I had $15,000. I've spent $7,000. I have $8,000. That's my seed capital.
Yeah.
So I had no money. I had to get creative on how I do this. So the sublet program was the only way I could do this without really a lot of money. Because I offered the students, I'll pay you rent at the end of the month. Not at the beginning, at the end.
Yeah.
So I was able to sign up, I think, 30 apartments like that.
Okay.
Think of the leverage here. No money down, nothing. Money down. I just a promise and a signature on a paper that I'll pay you rent at the end of the month.
Wow. That's like the Wild West. It's so crazy to think about markets when you come to Dubai, because everything is so crystal clear, just rules you have to follow. And to think about markets like Iceland, where you can just do whatever you want, you can just put the contract however you want. And it's so funny to listen to stuff like that after being in Dubai for so long now. Or so long, 1 year.
Yeah.
But okay, so it was just you and Saunders fighting for all the students in that school?
Yeah, in that it's called the McGill Ghetto. We were living in the ghetto, McGill Ghetto. So the apartments were mostly a little run down, so you had to be selective on what you take on, because if you take too bad of an apartment. But back then, honestly, you could rent anything and people wouldn't complain and you wouldn't get suspended. It would just run.
You mean Airbnb was just super easy?
Yeah, it was
even if you got a bunch of bad reviews, it was fine?
You could rent a dumpster on Airbnb.
Oh,
it was that easy.
They just let you continue because guests will just see that it has bad reviews. It's just a market,
Yeah, they'll still book it. There was not many Airbnbs, right? Yeah. But huge demand. So honestly, it was like drug money, It was crazy. Like you just take apartments, put it on Airbnb, it will like 3x, 4x the rent.
Yeah, Airbnb is so difficult now. If you get 2 bad reviews in a row, you could get suspended.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's crazy. You have to be very careful, and like sometimes it's stuff that's outside of your control. Like in Dubai, there was I have 4 apartments in a building, downtown views, and they closed the pool for the summer. The whole summer, pool's closed. We got this email, and we're like, "What the hell? That's huge." So we decided to let all the guests know in advance. So most of them canceled, but even some people kept the booking, but then just complained. Either way, once they got saw that the pool was closed in real life, and one of my listings got canceled because of it, just suspended, and we still haven't been able to relist it. So we had to go like relist it, But yeah, so sometimes it can happen even if it's outside your control.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It was very easy back in the days. And there was no regulation. You didn't have to register with the city. Owners didn't know what Airbnb was. You just had to tell them, hey, we're re-subleasing the apartment. Like, okay, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like they had no idea what Airbnb was.
Exactly. What year is this?
This is 2014 or 2015. 2015.
Yeah. Crazy that they don't know what it is in 2015.
Yeah.
I feel like my first Airbnb experience started in 2017. So I was renting villas in Iceland to live by myself with my friends. So I rent villas, and then I rent the rooms out to my other friends. So I lived in like super cool villas for pretty cheap. And when my guys, somebody moved out, then I just put that room on Airbnb. So and I remember back then it was so much easier. I had terrible reviews, and that was 2017. And I feel like 2017 it was a very well-known thing.
Maybe in Iceland, in Montreal, not much, but it was getting there. Like some landlords knew, most of them didn't. The older ones, or like old school landlords didn't.
Maybe 2015 to 2017 was the big growth. For maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so but this business was only over the summer. When the students came back, then you...
Yeah, for me it was only over the summer. I was trying to make quick cash, which was bad thinking at the time. Okay. Sonder was doing it just for the summer, but then they pivoted. They rebranded themselves. They used to be called Flatbook. Their original name was Flatbook. But then they raised some funding, like venture cap funding, and then they rebranded themselves to Sonder, and then they stopped the sublet model. Because the sublet model, there's a lot of moving parts. You're taking apartments from students who live like trash, especially the guys, and you had to like fix it up, like there would be like stains everywhere on the wall.
I bet the furniture wasn't very great. It was just something.
There's too many moving parts. And you can't really, provide a consistent service with those kind of apartments. So they moved out of that market and they started doing just year-long contracts. So they started in Montreal, like Sonder. That's where they originated. And then now they only take entire buildings with the minimum number of units requirement, so they gave up all the small units.
I guess that's just the standard when you scale. You start becoming more selective, more selective, and now they're just taking the whole buildings. That's the only thing they do.
Yeah, because at their model, like they're very tech heavy. Like all their software, they're all integrated with their buildings. Like everything, it's all built in-house.
Do you mean like smart locks? They have their own software
for how we use Hostaway and other PMS. They use their own in-house software.
Why do you think they do that? Just to save money at scale, or?
Well, they did that because they wanted to position themselves as a tech company and have their EBITDA multiplier like 10x. So when you go public, if you're a tech company, your evaluation is a lot higher than if you're like a regular management company or a real estate company. Real estate company, your multiplier is like 3x.
Okay, so I've never understand this. Why do public companies want their valuation to be so high? Unless they're like selling their own stock.
They are selling their own stock. The founders, their vision was to go public with a gigantic valuation. When they launched, they were valued at over $1 billion, right? And the founders hold a large portion of the company shares, right? So once they go public and then their vesting period is over, they could dump their shares and pull out their money. Like they make big. They made millions of dollars.
So how much percentage do you think they pulled out?
I don't know. I don't know actually. It's you can actually look at their what is it? Financial.
Yeah, but their stock crashed like 99%, didn't it?
Yeah.
But they're still alive.
They're still alive because they have to keep raising funding to stay alive. So their stock skyrocketed recently from $1.20 to like right now it's hovering around $7. So I regret very much selling my stock options. I could have made $500,000 easy. I didn't know it was going to go up after a Marriott partnership.
Oh, so after the crash, they partnered with Marriott.
They've been crashing a lot, but recently they've been going up. They've had a few corporate changes. They've laid off like 25% of their staff. I follow them a lot because I used to own a lot of their shares. If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
Right. So I bought into a lot of their shares.
That's cool.
It's a public company. Anybody can buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess since you grew up in the same place.
Yeah. Because honestly, what they do, like their business makes sense. What didn't make sense is why do they have such high overhead costs? Like why do you need all these engineers, I guess, to build the in-house software? So you can position yourself as a tech company. Like, you know how Google, Facebook, they're all tech companies. So they wanted to like, we're a tech company. They're really not a tech company.
Yeah.
They're a subleasing company, property management company.
Makes sense. If you own an apartment in Dubai and you want to maximize the revenue, you want to be running that apartment on Airbnb and Booking.com. But if you don't want to do that yourself, you have to make sure to pick a good operator. And now I'm finally offering that service with my 2 partners, and that we're managing apartments for other people for 20% of the revenue. So you take 80%, we take 20%, and we really maximize your revenue. We got 17 apartments already, and all the owners are so happy, and we're going into the high season. So if you want us to manage your apartment, book a call with us in the description below. So did you go into that model as well? Like just standard year-long subleasing contracts after you did the...
Yeah, so from the sublease, like the summer sublet business, I was able to make money. And I used that money to get actual apartments, actual contracts. I would go up to owners, hey, I'd like to rent your building or your whatever vacancy you have, and I'll put it on like short-term rental platforms.
Was it easier to get apartments back then than now?
Much easier.
Why?
Much easier. Back then, owners didn't really understand what Airbnb was, and they didn't understand how much money we were making. You know, now they know. Now they know, like, because a lot of people did it without telling the owners. Then they got caught.
Yeah. And
then they realized how much money these guys were making. So now it's a lot more easier to get management contracts, like revenue share agreements. Now in Montreal, most of the new deals that we get are revenue share. We keep a 20% cut, they keep the rest. Low risk for us, lower returns as well. And then you have one extra party to manage. You have to manage the owner now.
Exactly.
You know?
How do you do that? How do you manage that? Because obviously you can't talk to 200 owners every day.
No, we don't have 200 owners. So now we've started to we have very few owners that are just individual property owners. We really don't like them because if you have just one property, that's your everything. That's your baby. So you're literally always checking your calendar, and then one little issue you call.
Yeah, you need owners that own multiple apartments.
Yes.
That's a good thing with Dubai. Most of them are investors.
Yes.
So they're like a little bit more relaxed instead of like somebody that just owns one. Yeah.
What my biggest clients, the 2 biggest clients that I have, they're big time developers. Then they've never called me ever.
Yeah.
Only emails, and they'll schedule an online meeting like a week in advance, and I love that. You know, they'll talk about like more macro stuff. You know, from like, okay, our reviews have dropped. You know, they don't call you.
Yeah. Instead of micromanaging, like, why did you move this photo back in the line here?
Yeah. So we've kind of given up on like one individual property owners like that for management contracts. At least we'll take up sublease.
Yeah.
We'll take those, but
are you still subleasing if you find a good deal? And
we do both. In my proposal, I have 2 proposals. Like in the same sheet, I'll offer both revenue share, and master lease. That's what we call them. Whatever you choose. The idea is to take the business, no matter how. Yeah.
Okay, but how hard is it to get units in Montreal? Like, do you just go on, Property Finder or Zillow and look for apartments and send the owners a message, or is it word of mouth? Do people come to you? Or
now it's word of mouth, but when I started, the easiest way was to actually walk down a street, and you would see Alloué signs. Alloué stands for rent in French. Quebec is French. Call the owner and tell them, hey, I see you have a vacancy. Never pitch on the phone. Hey, I see you have a vacancy. Can I come see it? So I'd go see them, I'd talk to them in person, and I'd pitch them that, hey, I could take it. I could do this for you. I could put it on Airbnb, whatever comes in. This is how much you're going to make. I'll give them a revenue projection, like a spreadsheet of month by month projection.
Okay.
And this is what I'll keep. If you like this variable cash flow model, you end up making more, but there's more risk. You'll end up making more, but there's more risk. Or I give you a fixed check and you just sleep. And most of the time I was able to close. Like 95% of the deals I've closed, like just by meeting them.
Okay. So you just walk the streets randomly and saw an owner like, hey, are you renting?
No. You look at
for rent.
For rent sign, you call them. Because if you do the ones that are online, like the people have posted online, they're already very savvy.
Yeah.
Or they're using agents. They don't want to rent to you. So I've never really gotten good leads from calling people from online advertisement. The best success rate has been from for rent signs.
Because then you get directly to the owner.
Directly to the owner, and you're reaching to the kind of the old school property owner who has not much idea of the market rent. If they're just putting a sign online, on the door, they don't have much idea.
I got you.
So it's much easier to
It's a good topic that you mentioned that I was just talking to somebody yesterday. I saw James Murphy's story. He said, never pitch an owner online. Pitch them in person. Yeah. He said something like that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that. You know why? Because I think there's two reasons, especially in Dubai. One is just going to take so much more freaking time. Imagine if you're setting up a meeting with an owner or people and they already know they don't want to do Airbnb. They don't want to allow subleasing. Now you're going to meet somebody, meet another person, meet a third person, but they already know that they don't want to do subleasing, and you're probably not going to be able to convince them otherwise, especially in Dubai. But maybe if it's your first apartment and you don't mind spending all that time, maybe. But the second thing is that agent that you're meeting or that owner that you're meeting, usually an agent in Dubai, they're going to get pissed off that you didn't tell them that you wanted to sublease, So for me, I feel like it's just always better to be honest up front. Just say exactly what your plan is in the first message. And if you get a no, okay, you might try to convince them, tell them why they should reconsider, or just move on to the next one. At least that's for me, man.
No, for sure. My marketing model is outdated. This worked back in the days.
Yeah.
Now I don't do much marketing. Now they come to me, because the reputation have spread. Like I've made so much money for my clients, my owners. Like they just tell their friends, hey, go to this company.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So why haven't you grown like Saunders?
To grow like Saunders, you need to raise capital. I didn't want to dilute my shares. I wanted full control. I'm a sort of like a dictator when it comes to my business. And I didn't care about the quick millions of dollars. I was kind of happy with the cash flow. It's a great cash flow business.
Yeah, you didn't want to sell shares.
No, I didn't want a boss over my head. Because the moment you sell your shares, you have investors. You have somebody to report to that, hey, this is how our company is doing. Like, I don't like that. I like being my own boss, waking up when I want to,
I got you,
yeah.
For sure. So I'm super interested in how you manage to handle 200. How many apartments do you have exactly?
I think it's about 150 apartments, but listing wise, it's 229. The reason is some of our larger properties, like 5, 6 bedroom, 7 bedroom units, we split it up into bedrooms.
Okay.
We do private rooms. So 150 actual apartments, 229 listings exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And how do you, obviously it's a lot of work to manage all of this. talk to me about your systems a little bit. Do you have in-house cleaners? Do you have virtual assistants in the Philippines? How do you structure all that?
Yeah, for sure. We used to have in-house cleaner. When I first started, it was in-house cleaners. But it was a nightmare to manage. Like, I was basically their manager. Oh, you're not showing up? I had to go clean, you know? It was a nightmare. And later on, I've basically outsourced it. But the outsourcing wasn't like, oh, I found a company who did it. The employees that I had, I went up to them and I told them, like the star employees, that, hey, do you want to make more money instead of being paid by the hour? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I made them register their own company. So I chose 3 of them.
3 of the best cleaners.
3 of the best cleaners. And I told them, hey, register your own company. You can have your own cleaners, like own employees. And you can bill me per cleaning. So you can bill me like $50 for a studio. And you can pay your cleaners whatever you want. I don't care. You'll be able to make a spread. And they all agreed. And honestly, it was the best decision ever, you know. Now my cost is very predictable, you know. Now that I'm not paying somebody on payroll or by the hour, it's every time there's a cleaning, which we get a lot. Like we have, like every day we have like at least 50 cleaning. I don't have much of a fixed cost, right? So it's per cleaning, and I charge the cleaning fee to the guests, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Studio $75. I'll pay the cleaners $50.
Gotcha.
So that's what I do with my cleaners. Works well. They invoice me and I pay them. No payroll, taxes, nothing. Customer service. I used to be in Canada, but obviously it was very expensive. I got the idea from Hamza. I think.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast. Yeah, he's huge in America. 400 apartments.
Yeah. I met him in Montreal when he came to buy his Lambo from Montreal. He gave me the idea of hiring from Philippines. Now I've hired from Philippines. I have 5 customer service agents from Philippines, and
you only have 5?
Only have 5. We have a very small team.
Really? I got 5 too, and I have like just over 60 apartments total.
You'll be surprised how small our team is. On my payroll in Canada, I have 2 managers, 2 full-time managers. One is basically like a partner. He has partners in certain units, you know, so he has a lot of incentive to actually do good.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 main, one is an operation manager, one is a communications manager. So the communications manager is the one who manages the 5 customer service agents. And other than that, I have 2 maintenance people. That's it.
2 maintenance people?
Yeah.
How do you... what?
Yeah.
2 maintenance
It's a very
people?
lean operation, man. I'm telling you.
I got 2 maintenance people in Dubai. And
well, Dubai, it's cheap.
Yeah, true. But I got 2 maintenance guys in Iceland too.
Yeah, I have 2 I have 2 full-time guys, and like for most stuff you can just call like contractors. Like let's say you have a plumbing issue.
I see. So you 2 main guys that fixes all that stuff, but if they need help, they call contractors and get that done.
Yes.
All right. So what about bookkeeping? Like that's a topic that I'm super interested in now, because my books are a mess and they've always just been like here and there in my head, you know, but now it's getting to the point I'm like, maybe I should try to freaking get some structure around this, you know, and get graphs and everything, mostly for the cost. Obviously I'm tracking my profit and, but like detailed cost, like how much are we spending in fuel? How much are we spending in parking? How much are we spending in all of that? It's like kind of up in the air. What do you do with that?
I'm on the same boat as you.
Okay.
I have a system, like a pretty rudimentary system in place, which involves QuickBooks. Basically every time one of our staff, they buy something, let's say they buy gas or they buy like supplies, they'll take a picture of it, send it to an email, our billing email, and then one of our customer agents will look at that receipt and attach that receipt to the QuickBooks transaction. So in QuickBooks, if you have all your credit cards and banks connected, you get the transactions, right?
Automatically?
Yeah.
They go into QuickBooks?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's not automatic is attaching the receipt. Attaching the receipt and categorizing. That's the part that's not automatic. You can kind of automate it, but it's not good. I've tried. I gave up on it. You can't automate this. You need a full-time person like looking at receipts and like attaching it to your QuickBooks transactions. You attach it to your QuickBooks transaction and then categorize the transaction in QuickBooks. So if you do it regularly, At the end of the month, you'll see how much you've spent. And in QuickBooks, there's a feature called class, like class categorization. With that, you can, so for me, each class is each building, and each subclass is the apartment, like the individual apartment in that building. So you attach the category, which is like, okay, fuel or like software expense, whatever. Then you categorize the class. So with these two filters, you can actually have a granular view of all your expenses. And for your income, what you can use is a Tally B&B. So with Tally B&B, you're able to, like, every time you get a booking, Tally B&B will extract that information and create an invoice in QuickBooks for the Airbnb reservation, right? Like, because right now you have income you're exporting from Airbnb, but it's not in QuickBooks. QuickBooks is only seeing your bank deposits, right? Like Airbnb MSP, So it cannot recognize what bookings this deposit is for. It's just a lump sum payout, right?
Yeah.
So with Tally B&B, you can actually reconcile all the bookings that took place for that deposit and create individual customer invoices automatically for that deposit.
I got you.
And it will reconcile the bank statement.
I don't know if QuickBooks can connect automatically to a Dubai account. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Yeah. I haven't had any Airbnbs here, so.
So what I did recently, I hired another virtual assistant from the Philippines as a bookkeeper, and I was going to attempt to have her put everything to QuickBooks and really organize everything. But what ended up happening, it was just so much work to answer all the questions, get everything going in, and we just hit wall after wall after wall. So I was just like, okay, this is not very efficient. So I put that to the side for a while, but I have to see how I'm gonna get back into that, because obviously I have like a bookkeeper in Dubai that just handles my VAT and all that stuff, but they don't go into like details like that. So you need someone in-house for that. So yeah.
I mean, Dubai, you can hire in Dubai even, like, because when you have somebody in person, you're just sitting with them and they're just working next to you and they have a question. Hey man, what do I do? It's a much easier time.
Do you have an office in Canada?
Yeah.
So all of you go to the office and work together?
Yeah. But my virtual agents are not there.
Of course.
Yeah. In the office, it's not like we go to the office daily. It's like we do meetings there, like client meetings, and we need to brainstorm. We gather at the office.
Makes sense. Yeah. All of my stuff is online. No office. No nothing. I mean, I have an office just because it's mandatory.
It's mandatory, yeah.
But we never go there.
Right. You don't really need to.
No.
Yeah.
But okay, so what about pricing strategy? Do you handle the pricing yourself?
Yeah, it's still me, which is getting tiresome.
Yeah, I feel like this is the last thing everybody outsources.
Yeah, it's getting very tiresome because Price Labs is good, but
you have to. I think what a lot of people misunderstand with Price Labs, and they think it's just an AI that will control your prices.
No.
It's a tool that helps you automate and put processes in place, but you still have to control the pricing. Yeah.
Price Labs, it's really good with smaller units, like 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. But when it comes to large houses, it falls flat. It messes up pricing. It doesn't really know. It doesn't have much data points because you get data points from other listings, right? So there aren't that many large houses.
Yeah.
We operate a lot of large houses because we're in the student neighborhood, and in the student neighborhood, it's just like these little 2-3 story houses, that students share. So that is a large portion of our market. So that's why in the winter, it doesn't work. For us, winter is the off season, so starting from December, January, February, March, these are our worst months in Canada, Montreal. We split up the units into private rooms. That way, we still capture the budget travelers, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the people who can't afford the full house, but
Yeah.
they'll rent a room. That way, we're able to still 3x the rent, you know.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you never lose money in Canada when you're subleasing. Make money the whole year
Never.
round.
We used to lose money before when didn't really have much experience, and I would operate large houses all year round, just as large houses.
Yeah.
You know, not split it up.
But the large houses are killer sometimes, man. In Iceland, my best one is a large house.
Yeah, large houses killer. Like we have large houses that operate all year round, and can easily make like a 6-bedroom house can easily make 200K a year.
Yeah.
And
But this is crazy. You're 3x on your rent in the low season.
yeah,
That's wild.
yeah,
That's wild.
yeah, and
It-
5x in the
Yeah.
high season.
That's crazy numbers. Crazy.
But there's not. The good thing about Montreal is it's heavily regulated.
Okay.
And you can't have new supply. I recently spoke to a market manager, Airbnb market manager that reaches out and like wants to discuss how you're performing and stuff. So I asked him like, "Hey man, why is this summer our revenues dropping?" Which is actually true. This summer has been worse than last summer, in at least in our market. Has there been more supply? And he's like, no, there hasn't been more supply. It's the same number. However, it's like people have less discretionary earnings because of inflation. When you buy groceries and gas, you're left with very little money to spend. So that's why the drop in RevPAR, you know?
Okay. Yeah. So you feel like you're making less money just because people are traveling less, traveling on a budget.
Yeah, we're making less money per unit.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So okay. So you're doing really good in Canada. You're making good profit. Now you're in Dubai. You're thinking about or planning to start this business in Dubai. How do you feel like the motivation is to start in a new country when you're already so successful in another country?
Good question. What is the motivation? Definitely the motivation is much less than when you're just starting, like 8 years ago when you're nothing. If you can't pay your rent, you're out of business, right? Over here, I can survive for years.
Even if you're struggling, yeah.
Yeah. But the reason I came here and I want to do this is because it's the perfect opportunity for me, because the seasonality is exactly the opposite of Canada.
You don't care about seasonality. You're making 3x in the low season.
Yes, but you have to understand, like in Canada, I have all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You know, everything is in one basket. Like, what if there's a fire, which happens every year? You know, wildfires. My buildings burn down. I've had multiple buildings burn down.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen everything. Buildings burn down, murders. You know, fight clubs. Like they would rent a whole house. They would tear open the walls, the dividing walls.
Okay.
Why? Oh, they needed to make it fight arena.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had that, you know.
I feel like this is another luxury we have in Dubai. Like crazy stuff like that doesn't really happen that much. Same in Iceland because it's just tired tourists. But in America, you can get some crazy shit.
Yeah. No, Montreal, I've been told it's there's a lot of fraudsters. Like they do credit card frauds. And I used to have a lot of chargebacks, you know. Before, when I used proper verification, I used to get a lot of chargebacks. So people would book on my direct booking site. 2 weeks later, chargeback. Lost a lot of money.
This is what happened to Redid. He lost $10,000 with a booking here in Dubai.
Yeah, I saw that video.
So, okay, let's talk about that a little bit because I don't do a lot of direct bookings yet, but I'm getting into it. How much is your percentage split, like Airbnb, Booking.com, and direct bookings?
Across my portfolio or like building specific? Because not everything is on direct booking.
I see. Okay, across the whole portfolio.
Across the whole portfolio, I would say my direct booking is like 3-4%.
Oh, it's tiny, yeah.
It's tiny.
Airbnb mostly?
Mostly Airbnb and then Booking.com.
I got you.
Yeah.
So when you get direct bookings, how do you prevent people to charge back?
ID. So you want to make sure that the person who's booking with the credit card, it's that person checking in. You don't let anybody else check in. And how do you do that when everything's remote? You make a quick jot form and have them take a selfie with their ID and him, like next to it. And then you match that ID with the name on the credit card. If it matches, boom, you will not get a chargeback. Like 99% sure. Unless the guy somehow captured this data like from somewhere else, you know? But that's very rare.
And you do a contract as well, or?
Yeah, it's on HostAway you can do
a contract.
Yeah, you can do a contract.
Okay, so when he tries to charge back, he goes to his credit card company and says, "Hey, I didn't make that booking. This wasn't mine." And then you could just send the credit card company like, "Hey, here's a photo of his face and his ID."
So anybody who has actually successfully verified their face, they've never attempted a chargeback.
Yeah, of course.
Happened.
They wouldn't send the photo if they were going to try to.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it a little bit of a headache to ask your guests for a selfie?
No, Airbnb does that as well.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
They're booking with us direct. We don't have any of your information. Give us your information. You know?
Okay.
If you don't, sorry, take a refund.
Exactly. Makes sense. So what are your plans in Dubai?
Grow the brand. I just registered Prestige Star Vacation Home LLC.
Okay.
It's not the same name because I wanted to create a different brand, like than the Turbi, like keep it separate. But you can still book these units from the website, because on HostAway you can actually have multiple different websites and have units overlap between them.
So do you already have a unit set up?
No, I have nothing. I have nothing yet.
Okay.
I'm still looking. I was really interested in that villa that you sent me.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that's the niche I want to go into. Like, go big. Because there's too many of the same 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom units, the same cookie cutter that you see. There's too many, saturated.
Yeah.
So I want to enter a niche, like a luxury villa niche.
So I have a proposition for you.
Okay.
Remember, so the first time we spoke was months ago.
Yeah.
Months ago on Instagram. And you asked, I don't remember exactly how it went, but you pitched that, we should partner up. You would fund the deals. I would take care of everything, and we split the profit.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Okay.
Yes.
I was like, not really interested, man. because I didn't want to have to manage somebody else's expectations, and I want just to grow slower on my own. But now seeing that, it would just be fun working with you, man. And you have so much experience that I would probably just learn from, and it would be great. So what if we do a villa on the Palm?
I'm down.
Really?
I'm down. We have to work out the finer details,
So let's work out the numbers just real quick. So the rent is going to be like 1 million dirhams a year.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to get 4 checks. Okay.
4 checks.
So we have to pay 250,000 dirhams in rent every 3 months. So the first rent is 250,000 dirhams. Then we have to pay 5% security deposit. We have to pay 5% to the agent as a commission. So that's another 10%. So we're up to 350,000 dirhams. And then we have to spend at least like 150,000 dirhams on the furniture and the upgrades. So it's going to be a 500,000 dirham investment. So is that something you're willing to do?
If you participate in the losses, let's say the first year doesn't cover the rent.
Yeah.
I need you to participate in that. Like you need to.
If it doesn't cover the rent, it's never gonna happen. But sure, I can.
I mean, I'm confident. I've looked into that area too. Like some of the villas are making 1.5 million dirhams a year, according to AirDNA, which you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly.
Right.
So the thing with the villas on the Palm, I feel like most of them do direct bookings.
Where do we get these direct bookings? I can build a website. That's something I'm good at.
It's a good point. So I mean, I think we can do good just on Airbnb, but all the people that I talk to that have villas on the Palm, they all say that they transition more and more to direct bookings than Airbnb, and it's mostly just. I'm not sure, repeat clients, and we'll figure that out. But I'm sure even if we were just on Airbnb, we would do fine just by setting it up amazing. But we'll talk about it more later.
No, I'm down if you can participate in the losses. Because right now, with this deal, you're only participating if there's an upside.
Yeah.
Like you have no risk.
Of course.
So I want you to have some risk, that fear.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you want me to be scared.
Yeah. Because it's a go home or go big kind of
exactly,
thing,
exactly.
That's a used Ferrari, you know?
That's a used Ferrari, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a car in Dubai?
No, nothing yet. No.
You just take Ubers?
I take Ubers. I have a rental, but that's it.
Oh, you got a rental car?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never even driven in Dubai. I've been here a whole year. I just take Ubers everywhere.
My current Airbnb host upsold me a G-Wagon as a rental.
Really?
Which this guy I'm converting, I'm making him fire his manager and giving it to me.
How are you going to do that?
I just pointed out all the issues that is in the Airbnb, and I told him maybe it's time for a new manager. And he's like, yeah, maybe you're right, because his manager, it's not a real manager. He's just an agent.
Okay.
Which I hate. Like agents, they don't care about hospitality. They have the lead. The owner just wants them to manage for him, and he doesn't even put it on Airbnb. He only does booking.com because that's what he knows what to do.
Yeah.
And the owner does it himself on Airbnb. So there is a mismatch of calendar availability, of everything.
Yeah.
And you should see the place. It's a disaster. Nothing works. Like the stove didn't work. There's stains on the couch. It's at the 5 Palm.
Where's this is 5 Palm?
Yeah, 5 Palm.
Yeah, it's crazy how much money is being wasted on these bad operators in these huge high-end apartments. Like, come on, we could probably double their revenue.
Absolutely, this place could make a killing.
And some of these villas on the Palm too, man, they run like they run like so bad. So much money going to waste, and I think it's just because the owners, like for us, we can just so easily see, is this properly run or not? We just have to take a look at the listing. We see all the mistakes and we can make a lot of improvements here. But if you're not familiar with the industry, like very familiar with just Airbnb and Booking.com, you can't really tell if somebody's good or not.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, these you could see some of the reviews. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm thinking of even becoming a real estate broker just to get leads. It's a great way to expose yourself.
Yeah. But also it's hard to get leads as a real estate agent.
True.
I when I moved to Dubai, I came to Dubai with a job as a real estate agent and a holiday home manager at like a company, just because I wanted to understand the market and get familiar with everything. And man, it's competitive, dude. The only thing they give you to start, I mean, they give you training and a bunch of stuff, but all you get is a list of people to cold call. And then you just gotta cold call owners, and they don't wanna listen to you for 1 second.
Yeah. No. So how have you been getting like these units? Like, what's your lead gen?
So it's easier for subleasing, because you just go on Property Finder and you ask if you can rent this apartment, and if you offer a good price, then it's not that hard.
Okay,
it's not that hard.
That's simple.
Yeah.
And do you do it yourself, or you ask agents to find you properties?
I mostly. So I just find the properties on Property Finder that I like, and I send the agent a message. And sometimes the agent is like, this guy doesn't like subleasing, but I have this other one you can maybe get.
Right.
But it's getting increasingly harder and harder because there's so many people subleasing now in Dubai. Crazy many. And these owners are getting bombarded with messages from all of these people subleasing. So a lot of them are very quick to say, no subleasing, no subleasing, no subleasing. But obviously, I try to use my brand as, like, I just tell them right away who I am, like, and like my Instagram, so they can see that I'm like super credible. But I can definitely tell it's getting more difficult to get the attention. But it's so much easier than getting like revenue share deals, because if you can pay the rent, you're just paying the rent. So why wouldn't the owner let you take the apartment? And it's probably the easiest, maybe in the world, to get subleasing deals here in Dubai, because everybody's so familiar with Airbnb. It's just a part of the property culture,
It's so interesting because the opposite for us in Montreal.
Yeah.
Like, people don't want to sublease. They would do revenue share. Like, I haven't had a single master lease in years in Montreal. It's all been revenue share. Because they know how much money we're making. So
they want a piece
of the pie.
Piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's opposite here. They just want, I mean, not always, but most of the time, they just want guaranteed rent.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people are burnt with bad operators. A lot of these owners have given their apartments to a holiday home operator, and it just was they didn't get the numbers they promised.
Right.
And it was just a bad operator that like just so many mistakes, everything, photos and reviews and everything.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So you just, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah,
That's
man.
cool.
Anything else you want to cover or?
Yeah. What do you look for when you're looking at these properties? Like, okay, I like this one and I want it. Like, what are the metrics that you are most interested in? Location.
So the margins are super tight here.
Really?
So you have to be really careful of what you take. It's not like Canada or Iceland or pretty much any country when you can just take whatever and you can make it work. Here you have to be really look for the biggest difference from the long-term market rate to the short-term market rate. So you have to figure out, or at least what I try to figure out, is just where's the biggest gap. And from the tourist market, from the person that wants to live in an apartment long-term. And for me, it's always, the tourist spots where tourists go, which is like Marina, Palm, and downtown Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Downtown Dubai has been the best for me. And also look for, the view. Like usually a tourist, you can sell the view a little more to a tourist than a long-term market tenant. So I just look for something like that I can really sell. Like I look for something where the cover photo can be amazing, whether that's like a super nice pool,
right,
or if it's just a super nice view, or like a really nice patio, big patio that I can make look super good. Or if it's like a window that's like a corner window with a nice view, just something that I can make the apartment stand out.
Have you considered going into like a different area, for example, like Dubai Creek? I was looking at AirDNA, and the revenue generated per apartment is significantly higher than Business Bay because there's less units. So people who want to go there, like they pay more. Mm-hmm. Not sure how good it is, like how much the rents there are.
Yeah.
Dubai Creek. So
my co-hosting guys, I have two partners that we do revenue share deals. So if an owner asks me if I can manage their apartments, I have two partners which help me with managing these apartments, and we have one apartment that's on the creek and it's doing really good. But we got it early in the summer, so I want to see. This is also so good doing revenue share as well, because you get so much more data. You can look at like how much are we getting in these all kinds of different areas, and it's doing really good. And if I can see that it's making like 70,000 dirhams more than the long-term rental market, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'll go sublease in that area. Right now, I'm doing my second deal on the Palm, like a 1-bedroom on the Palm. So I'm definitely exploring with more areas.
Okay. What is the multiplier that you look for, like rent multiplier?
I don't really think about multipliers that much, but what I think about is I try to get honestly, what I'm looking at most now is I try to make 100% return on my money in a year. So I try to get all my money back within the first year. And if I can make more than that,
okay,
that's great.
Okay.
So say if somebody gives me their apartments 12 checks instead of 4 checks. So I get to pay monthly versus every 3 months. That means my initial investment is lower. So I'm happy if I make a little bit lower. But if we take a look at the multiplier, I would say it's about 2x.
Right. 2x.
So, but usually a little bit lower than that. Almost always lower than that, a little bit. So 1.7x, 1.8x maybe.
And do you think this multiplier is going to keep going down as the rents are going up and there's too much supply?
So I think we're at a point where it's just a market balance, and I think it can't go much lower because it's just not going to be profitable anymore. So people are just going to stop. If we're making less than 1.7 times the rent, then the bad operators will just have to stop, because if I'm making 1.7 and I'm doing really good, then some bad operators are making even less. So obviously they're going to stop. So I feel like if it's going to get worse, then it's just going to come back up because so many people are going to drop out. So I feel like we're at the point where it just can't get worse. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
The market just won't allow it.
right. The entry to barrier is so low in Dubai, like, because the regulations are so simple. You just sign up,
Yeah.
get the owner's permission, get the permit, and you can start operating.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Like, is the barrier to entry low or not? Like, because it is expensive to set up. You have to set up a license, which is like $7,000 or something. Have you done that already?
The company license, the vacation. Yeah.
Yeah.
It cost me like about 30,000 dirhams total.
So that, I mean, that's expensive, and then you have to set up the unit. So it's a high investment.
Right.
Definitely.
Investment wise, it's high.
Investment wise is high, but just if you have the money, the barrier to entry is nothing. You know.
Right. It's just because the issue is everybody has money these days.
Mm.
So money is no longer a barrier to entry. Like in the grand scheme of things, like most businesses take hundreds and thousands of dollars to start. This business doesn't require that much to really start. Like you can be cash flow positive within the first month if you start in the right season. Right. It's a very unique model, and anybody who gets into it and does well will stick to it. You know, most people I know will drop out of school, quit their jobs to do this full time.
Do you know a lot of people doing this?
Yeah. I mean, over the years.
Would you say the barrier to entry is higher in Canada?
Oh, like sky high.
How is it higher?
Okay, to give you an example, just in Montreal, if you want to do it in the like there's two peak zones, the plateau and the downtown. In downtown, there's only one street where you're allowed. It's called St. Catherine Street. And on that street, your Airbnb must be 150 meters away from the other Airbnb.
Oh, jeez.
So there is none.
Yeah.
You cannot start a commercial operation on that street. And then the other street is the plateau, where most of my buildings are. Over there, you're allowed on two streets, Saint Denis and Saint Laurent. Over there, you don't have that distance restriction, but it's a small street. So basically, everybody's already doing it, and there's like two pieces of empty plots that is left to be built. So anybody who wants to do Airbnb is already doing it commercially, you know. So you really can't do it commercially. There's one way you can do it, which is not a commercial approach. It's a personal approach, which is if it's your private home, personal residence, you can rent it out occasionally on Airbnb by getting a primary residence Airbnb permit. Okay. You know, so we actually do that with students.
So you have to get the owner of the apartment to apply for the permit.
No, it doesn't have to be the owner. It could be a leaseholder. It could be a tenant.
To somebody that lives there, has their legal home there.
Yeah. So for a lot of our students, it's their primary homes, right? But they don't want to be there in the summer months. Yeah. So they want to leave for the summer months. So we tell them, hey, if you're leaving, just apply for an Airbnb permit and you don't have to pay us rent. And that way we're able to put some of the units that are nice on Airbnb legally.
So the barrier to entry is more like convincing owners and stuff like that and finding the right property in Montreal. There's not a big financial barrier to entry.
No, there's not much financial barrier. You know, it's convincing the owner, yes, and the permits. The permits are now next to impossible to get because the city will investigate, is this truly your primary home? They'll ask for your IDs, they'll ask for utility bills, you know, like everything, you know, your mother's maiden name, like it's crazy the investigation that they do. And they'll come inspect, you know, if you have all the windows and everything up to the mark, you know.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, man. So how do you like living in Dubai?
I love it so far. Like this
better than Canada?
Oh yeah. I haven't lifted my luggage in months. Like I try to get on a taxi, they're lifting it for you.
Yeah.
Like they're opening doors for you. Like the service here.
It's crazy. You get used to it fast, man.
Yeah.
My life is so like just automated. Just with taking Ubers everywhere to getting. You know, I live in a building that's directly connected to the mall.
Yeah.
So I just go to the coffee shops and to the restaurants and to the gym that's right there, and the pool is right there. And, you know, you get so used to it, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it's the best, like, it's the infrastructure of the West. combined with the service industry of the East.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's the place to be. I wish it wasn't this hot. That's my only complaint.
Yeah. It's going to cool down soon.
Yeah, but it's crazy.
When did you move here?
It's been a little over a month and a half.
Yeah.
A month and a half, yeah.
Yeah. I moved similar time last year, and the heat was, man, I couldn't deal with it. But now I feel like I got a little bit used to it.
Yeah?
Yeah. But the winters are they're perfect.
I mean, the best thing would be, like, I spend the summers in Canada and the other times here, you know?
That's what I said I was going to do. I was going to spend the summers in Iceland and the winters here. But I went to Iceland for a little bit this summer. And I was like, nah, I got to get back, man. This is too much of a hassle having to drive to the gym every time. And I actually have to go to the grocery store. What the hell is this?
Yeah, as long as I stay out of Canada for more than 6 months of the year, my primary residence is in Canada, and I don't pay capital gains tax because they just raise capital gains tax like crazy.
Yeah.
So if I stay, I basically don't make money, you know? It's really a technicality. That's the reason I moved to Dubai.
So capital gains. So you mean like on like your investments with Saunders and stuff? You have to pay.
Saunders, I've only lost money. So.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's a tax loss harvesting. But S&P 500, Bitcoins, you know, all the investments that have gone up, like this asset boom that's happening right now.
So because you have a legal home in Dubai, you don't have to pay tax on that.
Yeah.
But do you in Canada? Do you have to pay tax on it even if you don't sell it?
No, if you don't sell it, you don't pay taxes.
Okay, gotcha. But if you would sell it, so you are selling sometimes. Maybe.
Yeah, because like right now, this is market peak. This is too crazy. Like, you know, so I'm selling a little bit just to prepare for the next crash.
I gotcha.
And if I were to stay in Canada and sell it, I would be paying a massive capital gains tax. It's like 53%. So half your money is gone.
53% capital gains?
Yeah.
I think it's 24 in Iceland, something like that.
Yeah,
22.
over here it's nothing. So like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So, but what, you have to pay tax on your business in Canada though still, right?
Yeah.
Do you have VAT?
It's called sales tax. So we have 15% sales tax, but we charge it to the guest. It's the same thing over here. What you see is what you pay. In Canada, like let's say your coffee is $10, like that's what's advertised. They will add a 15% VAT on top of it, so it's 11.5, and then they'll expect a tip. You know, 15%. So you end up paying like $13 for you know.
So if you see $10, you pay 13.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's the tipping culture is crazy. I really like. It doesn't make sense, you know. You're literally walking up to a coffee shop, like trying to get coffee from the like counter, and they will expect a tip.
Yeah. They don't do much.
No, they're not doing much. So
yeah. All right, man. Really good talk. We'll be in touch regarding the villa on the Palm.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for coming.
Anytime. Thanks for inviting me.